A multinational financial services company, Western Union, has released its inaugural Global Money Transfer Index. The index is a survey that uncovered consumer expectations of the remittance industry. That's the Africa series there. That's what we're going to be focusing on here. We've got the CEO of Bitnob, Bernard Parah. Bitnob is a technology and financial services company built on Bitcoin technology, and Bitnob offers payment solutions for African individuals and businesses. Bernard, good morning. You're welcome. I think you're the perfect person to talk to us about this report. I want to first ask you about Africa's share of the $1 trillion mobile money services, 70%. Now, I mean, this is surely going to grow. Players like Bitnobs and the Western Unions of the world, are you scaling fast enough to cater to this growth in Africa?
Yes, I think we are. It's a pleasure to be here. Part of the things that we're doing to really scale and take advantage of this is exploring new technologies, right? And that's where things like, blockchain, Bitcoin comes into play. So it's moving really fast, but I think we're investing a lot in R&D, building, research, and all of those things just to make sure that we take the opportunity.
Now, there's this report, number of surveys. I think we can look at Kenya first. Kenya, mobile money leader in Africa. I think you are in Kenya, along with Ghana and Nigeria. Well, I think let's take a look at some of the stats from Kenya with the survey. Well, what's your assessment of operations there compared to Ghana and Nigeria, where you also operate? So I think Kenya is the fourth largest receiver as far as remittances in Africa. Approximately 3 million Kenyans living abroad, 4 billion in inflows. If you look at the survey, the Kenya survey results here from here, 63% receiving money at least once a month. What's your take on Kenya as far as the market is concerned?
Yeah, well deserved. I'm not surprised by that report. And Kenya has been like our fastest growing market since we launched in Kenya. Much different from the uptake in places like Ghana. They're just used to these digital sort of transactions, right? M-Pesa has been there since the early 2000s, so it's not much different from what one would expect right now.
All right, so I want to take this something down piece by piece as far as the insights from the survey. If we can put up one of those results. Yeah, so this is what we're looking at earlier, but let's skip ahead now, move on to some of the survey results from Kenya. 56% of senders prefer digital options as far as sending money. That's in blue, right? 41% are saying that they would prefer either digital or cash. And then 10% say all cash, and that's for people who want to send money from to Kenya. As far as receivers, it's less on the digital side, 46%, while 53% in black there say they would prefer to say either digital or in cash. For someone like you that is on using Bitcoin technology and wants to see more digital remittances, what do you make of about 53% there? And we'll get to Nigeria's numbers in a second. Well, 53% they would prefer either cash or a digital remittance, and also in white there. Well, that's on the sender side. 10% saying all cash. What do you make of that? Isn't that a challenge for you?
Not really. So, and here's how it works for us. We're just tying into the existing systems, right? And what we're using Bitcoin for is to ensure that there's the transfer of value from one country to another instantly, without all the back office operations, the cost, and all of those things that increase the fees for people. And then with what we have today, someone could instantly send money from, say, Cash App in the US, and then they get actual cash in Kenya. And why do people still want cash? Africa is a very low trust, society. We still want to hold the physical cash. Not a lot of people are still tech literate. People don't really trust digital channels. We have parents who swear by they still want to go to the bank to get their cash, and the same thing in Kenya. So what we're doing is just innovating to serve the needs of the people, not necessarily trying to change their behavior.
Okay, well, speaking of behavior, let's look at I think another part of this survey, future expectations from Kenya. And I thought this was incredibly fascinating. Let's start with this. At the top left, the 90% figure. 90% of receivers in Kenya of remittances want an integrated mobile super app. That means they do not want to log out of the app to do anything. They want to stay there and have all their needs taken care of. Is that not a hurdle for you? Because, and this is, correct me if I'm wrong, for players like yourself, you want people logging in and out of different applications so you can sell them more stuff. So isn't this a hurdle for you if 90% of people just want one super app where they don't have to go anywhere?
Yeah, so I mean, when we talk about a super app, any player could create a super app, right? So it doesn't have to be just one single app that everyone uses. So that's the whole concept of super apps, and I think it's a good thing. Because what it does is it increases competition in the market. It means that only the best are going to win in the market. It means that only the best we have customers, brand trust, loyalty, and all of those things will come into play. Customer service and all of those other things will come into play. So definitely, it's a good thing. I think it's a welcome thing.
Okay, all right. Well, that's interesting. I think it's okay. So you're saying it's a good thing. What about this? Again, this is top right now. 82% want to receive money via a prepaid card, and I'm guessing they're referring to a physical card or an e-wallet. I mean, what do you make of that? I mean, with respect to in the digital age where we're trying to get more remittances, people still want, at least 82% of those that responded to the survey in Kenya want a physical prepaid card. Because you have a virtual card. You mentioned that earlier. So isn't this something that you have to overcome if you want to get more digital adoption?
Yes, it's going to be a hurdle for people like us. I think part of the things with that is the regulations around giving physical cards, right? So most times it's just the banks that have most of those licenses to do those things right now. So it's going to be a challenge for players like us. So and it's not something that we're looking at.
Okay, well, let me give you another challenge. I like this one here. At the bottom right, 82% of receivers want their online, that's at the bottom right now for our viewers. The 82% at the right, because I know there's an 82% on the left on brand image, but that's in white, the 82% in black. 82% of receivers want online money transfer capabilities in local language. Bernard, how does a software design, how do you do that? Nigeria alone has over, 400 languages. So how would you sort that out?
The technical guy in me is already thinking about it. But then, I mean, it's a good thing. The good part is that it's showing that really when it comes to Africa, like people are unique, like the customers are unique. They can tell you what they want. And if people want it in local languages, then companies have to be able to do that. But then getting it in 100 languages requires a lot of work. I would say it will probably take, close to a decade. It will involve a lot of people doing translations, having context in those translations. So it's not just something that you take Google Translate and just put into it. Like it's going to take a lot of work. And I'm assuming that if I was trying to pull that off, it would be having like a non-profit or open source body that sort of curates all of these languages and puts them so that any application developers, any company could just plug into that service and have the translations. I think that's the only way we can achieve it at scale. That
makes sense. Like GitHub, you can put the open source code on GitHub, and then everybody from different countries will contribute. But I mean, your revenues that would skyrocket if you could get local languages in all those services. Let's get to Nigeria. I mean, looking at the survey results from Nigeria, I mean, obviously this is, the big dog there. Number one, as far as receivers of remittances, 17 million Nigerians approximately overseas, 21 billion USD inflows. That's more than oil revenues. And then you've got at the bottom there, 61% digital receipts. Does Nigeria and her size mean that players like yourself, the Western Unions, everybody else has to pay more attention to Africa's giants because of these kind of numbers?
Yeah, this is the one part where we're truly Africa's giants, and we still try to win the big brother.
Yeah.
Right. So obviously, if you're coming to Africa, you're trying to do anything that has to do with payments, remittances, like no competition. Nigeria remains the number one market, right? So definitely, it's something that everyone is going to. It's that pie that everyone wants to have, a slice of.
So if you again, because I know you're in Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya. So is more of your operations concentrated in Nigeria? Or are you evenly spread out?
Most of our operations are here in Nigeria.
Makes sense. The biggest pie. Yeah. Okay, Strike. Yeah. I think you guys have a partnership with Strike. Also, they're in the Bitcoin space as well. They launched an instant USD, I think using the Bitcoin Lightning Network to send money from America over to Vietnam. I think there's a tweet from, there's Jack Mahler's CEO saying send globally, use the Vietnam flag there, and then the lightning thing logo. Strike users can now send US dollars direct to bank accounts in Vietnam, cheaper, faster global payments on the open settlement network for the world. You have explain your partnership with Strike. I think you have some kind of partnership with them. And are you also using the Lightning Network for remittances in Africa?
Yes, so we pioneered using Lightning Network for remittances in Africa back in 2021. And after that, we went into a partnership with Strike. So what happens is if Strike wants to send, so you're in the US, you want to send, $10 to Nigeria, right? What you do is you go on Strike, you deposit your US dollars, and then you say, hey, Strike, I want to send $10 to Nigeria. Strike pings Bitnob in the background, say, hey, Bitnob, we want to send $10 to Nigeria. How much are you going to give the person in Naira? We give the rate back to Strike. Strike says, okay, we're going to pay you for this thing. Now, what's interesting that is happening here is Strike pays us over the Lightning Network in Bitcoin. So Strike gives us Bitcoin, and then we pay the person into their mobile money account, into their bank account. Essentially, what's happening here is that the exchange of value is using the Bitcoin network to settle without the sender. So the sender, as far as I'm concerned, they're sending US dollars. The person here in Nigeria or Ghana or Kenya or any of the other 5 Francophone countries we're in right now receives the money in their mobile money wallet, right? And then they don't have to touch Bitcoin at all. And the innovative part of that is, if the way companies do it today is you would have to say you open an account. Stripe would have had to open an account with Bitnob, domicile a lot of dollars, and then have us always move that money to them. But then today, Stripe doesn't need to give Bitnob any money to keep for them. All they do is whenever they have a transaction, they pay us, which is the real definition of real-time transactions. So we don't have to come back at the end of the day to do any reconciliation with them or whatever. This is way better than what works with the Swift network and code today. So that's the new innovation that we pioneered with Stripe.
Oh, well, thank you for the clarity. So you're just using the network, but still sending fiat money.
So what happens, fiat money settles, that's between the customers, yes, but then the crypto, that's Bitcoin in this case, is just between the two companies. So Bitcoin is like the asset that we use to settle, it's the reserve currency in this case.
Very, very interesting. All right, look, Bitcoin has been in the news, unfortunately, cryptocurrencies in the news for the wrong reasons. You got Sam Bankman-Fried arrested and charged, Do Kwon of Terra Network, he's arrested in Montenegro, he's been charged. Then we already talked about earlier this morning with Rise business analyst Bode Oshoshimi, Binance being sued by the CFTC over in the United States. Does any of this impact your operations in terms of, I guess, brand perception or anything like that?
No, I think for us, it's the opposite, and I'm not surprised by all of these things that are happening. It's things that people who are focused on Bitcoin like us have been saying for many years, right? That in the crypto industry, there are so many grifters, right? People are just running scams, just taking a lot from people and ignoring the utility. Is just about speculation, right? But then there's real utility. And for companies like us, we're still growing really fast right now, despite all of this, because we're not telling you to come and trade and earn and make 1,000% on your money or whatever. We're telling you that, hey, look, like this thing has actual utility, right? And that's the utility that we're doing on Send globally with the likes of Strike today. So for us, it's been good. It's been, hey, these guys at Bitnob, they've been right all along, right? That we can use Bitcoin for these good things and not really the whole crypto. So we're not really seen as a crypto trading kind of company out there. We're seen as a company that facilitates all of these payments by using, Bitcoin and the Lightning Network as a settlement layer.
That is very, very, thank you for that. That's I think, been a big revelation for us, at least through this interview. What's the outlook for, I guess, crypto and remittances? Is the network itself, with what you're doing, going to play a bigger role going forward as populations across Africa grow and people rely more on, digital remittances to send money back and forth across the world?
Yes. I think something like Send Globally that we've launched, it's definitely the game changer, right? When you look at things like the Pan-African payment system, what they've been trying to achieve for so many years is something that we've been able to achieve in just a few years, right? Or in just a few months, using Send Globally. And this is going to keep on growing. More companies, I imagine that even down the line, banks as well will want to settle on these layers because one, everyone wants efficiency, everyone wants lesser cost, right? And then when you have lesser cost as a business, then you don't pass it on to your customers. So this is going to play a much, much bigger role down the line. You're going to see everyone trying to come onto this. We already have companies, even in Vietnam, Bitnob is going to launch this same type of payments to Vietnam, Philippines, India, all of these other places using this network that we've built on the Lightning Network today. So I imagine that that's going to be the bigger deal.
Bernard, this is very, very, very interesting stuff. Really fascinating. The future is going to be exciting as far as remittances are concerned. Bernard Parah, CEO of Bitnob, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate your time.